They say silence is a kind of strength, but I never knew what that truly meant until the day I saw my wife 5'5", quiet as a whisper, stand like a mountain in front of a man twice her size, twice her age, and with all the legal authority in the world behind her. That man. A cop named Rick Halpern. That day? The one where he nearly threw a punch that would have broken more than just his career. And me? I stood 30 feet away, behind a marble column, watching, waiting, knowing I couldn't move too soon or too late. Timing is everything when you're FBI. And justice, real justice, doesn't come with flashing lights or loudspeakers. Sometimes it arrives in a whisper and lands like a gavel. My wife, Naomi, had just walked out of City Hall. She looked like she always does after a tough meeting, heels clicking, jaw set, folder under her arm with that red Department of Justice seal pressed into the leather. She doesn't carry herself like someone who needs to prove anything, and that's exactly what rubs certain people the wrong way. People like Officer Halpern. He was leaning against a rusting light pole at the edge of the plaza, sunglasses on, posture like he owned the sidewalk. I spotted him before she did. I could already tell from the angle of his head, the twitch in his fingers, that he was sizing her up. Not because he suspected anything, no. That would have required thought. He was reacting, pure and simple, to the sight of a confident black woman walking alone. She didn't look at him. Didn't need to. Her steps never faltered, her rhythm steady like a metronome. She was 10 feet away when he stepped out of the shade and directly into her path. Identification, he barked. No greeting, no context. Just that one word, like he was spitting it out. Naomi stopped. She didn't back up, didn't raise an eyebrow, didn't shift her weight. She just stopped. The sound of her heel meeting the pavement was the only reply. He stared her down, leaning in slightly, the way guys like him do when they want to own the air between them. His nostrils flared. His fingers twitched toward his belt. Not a full threat, but close. She didn't flinch. Her folder stayed tucked, her hands relaxed. That stillness? It wasn't fear. It was design. Naomi had studied men like him for years in courtrooms, in hearings, behind glass. She knew the moment she responded, she'd validate his performance. Is there a problem, officer? Her voice was clean. Not cold, not angry. Just aware. Like a professor correcting a lazy student. He repeated himself louder, and I swear his tone made the fountain behind him feel like it was holding its breath. I said, I need your ID. Now. She didn't blink. She just said, did you observe a crime? That's when his ego cracked. He stepped forward, not quite a lunge, but the kind of move that says, you're supposed to be afraid now. And she wasn't. She pulled out her credentials, slow, steady, let the badge glint in the sunlight, then tucked it back in without handing it over. That's all the ID you get, she said. Anything else, you need a warrant. The plaza was still. People were watching now, phones discreetly raised. Halpern saw it too, but he was too deep in it. He leaned close and hissed. You think you're above the law? Just 'cause you talk pretty and carry a fancy folder? Naomi just looked at him. Her expression didn't change, but something in the air shifted like she'd flipped a switch he didn't know existed. He snarled, stepped back, then lunged forward with his hand raised. A punch. Real. Fast. Reckless. The kind you throw when you're sure you'll get away with it. He never made contact. That's enough. My voice wasn't loud. Didn't need to be. He froze mid-swing like I'd hit a switch in his spine. He turned slowly, like he already knew what he'd see. I walked toward them, pulling my ID as I moved. I flipped open the badge wallet. He saw the letters before he saw my face. FBI? I stopped a foot from him. You just attempted to strike a special advisor of the United States Department of Justice. In public. Surrounded by witnesses. He stuttered, backpedaling. She was being uncooperative. She was standing. That's not a crime. But what you did, that's assault. He tried the radio on his shoulder. Static. Tried again. Still static. "We've been monitoring your communications since last week," I said. "We had enough red flags to launch an internal review. This was your test. And you failed. Spectacularly." He looked like a man drowning in dry air. His hand drifted toward Naomi again, this time just brushing her sleeve, like he could pull her back into submission. I moved. One step. Locked his wrist before he knew what was happening. Twisted just enough to drop him to the ground. Controlled. Clean. My knee hovered at his back. Naomi looked down and said, "Don't hurt him." I didn't. I just made sure he understood who was in control. The backup officer arrived seconds later, read the situation, and didn't even reach for his gun. Just said, "He's to withdraw from the scene." Effective immediately. Halpern gasped. "You set me up." I crouched beside him and placed a sealed envelope next to his cheek. "That's your internal summons. You've been under review for 6 weeks. Racial profiling. Excessive force. You just proved every allegation." He stared at the envelope like it might bite him. He looked up at Naomi. "Who are you?" he asked. She said, "I'm the person who helped write the protocols you just violated." We walked away, her heels tapping like a verdict. Phones recorded the whole thing, and by the next morning, the clip had gone viral. But it wasn't the confrontation that people shared. It was her stillness. The way she didn't flinch. The way she didn't raise her voice. That calm. It became a kind of rallying cry. And Halpern? He tried to show up to the precinct the next day. His badge wouldn't scan. His access revoked. No one looked at him. He was erased by the same system he thought would always protect him. Internal Affairs confirmed what we already knew. Over 40 complaints for hospitalizations, 2 deaths he called routine detainment. Now every case has been reopened. And Naomi? She hasn't said much about it since. She doesn't need to. Her silence spoke loud enough. We still walk that plaza sometimes. People nod. Some come up to thank her. She just smiles, polite, distant. Then she looks at me and says, "Let's go." Like nothing happened. Like everything happened. That's the thing about silence. It doesn't need to yell to be heard. And when it finally breaks, it rewrites everything. So let me ask you, watching this now, what do you think justice should look like? Is it loud? Violent? Quick? Or is it slow? Calm? Surgical? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your story if you've got one. Because sometimes, the loudest thing we can do is just stand still. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story on Store of Good Stories. If this story touched your heart or made you think, don't forget to hit like and share the video to spread this positive message to more people. And if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the meaningful stories we share every week. Your support is the biggest motivation for Store of Good Stories to keep bringing heartfelt and valuable stories to you. See you in the next video.